Well, thank you, and good morning, everybody. I'd like to start by saying thank you so much to Malithia and Brad and the other organizers for allowing us to be here. And with that being said, we're super excited to be here this morning, especially at this new Frisco community. With that being said, we'll go ahead and get started this morning. Well, good morning. My name is Nick Medincia, and I'm the founder and CEO of Drone Parks Worldwide. We're a Houston-based startup with the mission to give the world the gift of flight while making the skies above us safer. Right now, drones are doomed. Drones of all kinds are expensive, complicated, and worst of all, flown in really dangerous flying locations. Most people, and most drone pilots like myself, have to go to local parks to fly a drone. And when I'm flying this racing drone at upwards of 80 miles an hour around children, it's a really scary thing, because this becomes a flying lawnmower. So our solution to this is to bring drone flight indoors and make it accessible to the public. Our drone parks are indoor spaces that are affordable, where you can rent a drone for $60 versus paying for one for $500, $600, even $1,000. And best of all, they're safe. Through our proprietary technology and designs, you never actually touch the drone you're flying, so there's no way yourself or your kids could get hurt when you're flying a drone. So what is a drone park? Well, the easy way to say it is it's a large indoor space where anyone can enter and fly a drone for any purpose. So right now we're working on building our first parks. Our market focus for the next 2 to 3 years is exclusively here in Texas. We love Texas. Woo! Go Texas. Right, get some more coffee. That should have been louder, guys, come on. Yeah, and so our main focus right now is here in Texas. We're looking at doing our first parks. Right now, our final 2 cities are either Waco, explain that later. I know I'm not crazy, I'm not starting a cult, trust me, or Houston. So yeah, with that being said, however, we've been watching Dallas and now Frisco with some announcements we're gonna talk about later. And so yeah, so this is sort of our target area, and we're just here today to sense out community and possibly get some great connections to people who we feel like could make this happen. So yeah, however, here's the formal definition. We do plan on using things like augmented and virtual realities to make it a very dynamic space. So how does a drone park work? Well, your summary in our facilities can be summed up in 3 easy things. First is find your local facility. In the Dallas sort of Frisco area, we were looking at an area like Deep Ellum or possibly in Midtown down in Dallas, but now we're also looking at something here in Frisco as well. Next, learn to fly a drone. We've experimented and developed a proprietary curriculum that can teach you to fly a drone better and faster than anywhere else in the world. In fact, if you're a millennial male who plays video games, we can teach you to be what we call race proficient, which means you're great enough to race, in about 20 minutes, which is really rare. Right now, if you go and do it yourself, it'll take you about 3 hours to 4 hours. Or you can just relax and watch and have a beer and watch someone else fly. And lastly, fly a drone, compete with the competition, or your kids, and dominate, or let them dominate you. So our experience is all based around something we call first-person view technology, or FPV. And what this means is that on our drones, there's a camera. So right here, it's this big orange piece. And that transmits live time to a set of goggles that the pilot wears. And they see exactly what that camera is seeing. So what that means is the pilot feels like he or she is flying the drone. It's really incredible. Imagine feeling like an agile bird of prey, and people don't realize this, but racing drones are actually the most maneuverable vehicle on Earth. For example, fastest production car right now is the Tesla. It can go 0 to 60 in about 2.6, 2.7 seconds. This year's Drone Racing League drone could go 0 to 100 in less than a second. Yeah, imagine feeling like you're doing that. And the best part is when you crash, there's no harm to yourself. It's funny. I remember at the time when I started flying drones, I was also go-kart racing and flying real airplanes. And I said to my mom, I said, hey, how would you feel if I were to start drone racing? And she looked at me in the eye and she said, I'm an only child, single mother, so my mom and I are very close. And she said, Nick, I would love that, because you can't flip a racing drone and smash into a wall and walk away and laugh. So, yeah. Very safe. As a parent, you're going to feel very safe with your kids flying a racing drone versus flying a go-kart. So yeah, we're going to do a demo after this with 6 minutes. We really can't have this demo and all this information. So hang around. We're going to be up here, or if we get kicked out of this room, we'll be out there. And yeah, I'm going to fly us, but you guys can wear the goggles, and we'll feel like we're this tiny, tiny little drone for about a minute, 30 seconds. It's going to be great. All right, so who is our market for this? Basically, young millennial men with a great paying job and no kids, someone like a software developer or possibly an engineer, and then millennial mothers who, once again, have a good paying job and 1 to 2 children. And our market with millennial mothers is really for the kids. You know, right now, for parents, there's no place you can really feel, you can drop your kids off and feel like they're safe, you know, and also getting an education. You know, so if you take your child to Topgolf, you know, hey, they're going to be hitting a ball with a club, something we've been doing for who knows how many thousands of years. Whereas if you take your child to a drone park, you know, hey, not only are they learning what makes a drone fly, but they're also having fun while they're doing it. So here's the stats. Right now we're seeing explosive growth in the drone industry. Over 7 million drones are going to be in the US air. Most startlingly, though, is there's 0 drone parks in the world. Here's a hot map of Texas. Basically, the reason we're choosing Texas is it has the most dispensable income with the most drone users. And basically, our revenue stream is centered around, like a gym, incentivizing people for memberships. Plan is we're going to raise 3 rounds of capital. Right now, we're doing our first one here with Kickstarter, which is up now. We'll hand out brochures after this. And that's afterwards. But yeah, I'd like to invite all of you guys to join our social media family. It's now over 100,000 people. This is a little old. And yeah, thank you so much. I look forward to your questions.
Awesome. I'm really excited about this. I'm not a gamer or anything, but I did work in Xbox for many years, and I'm always excited about new technologies, especially when it's gaming related. And as I told you, I know my son will be too, so this is really cool. And thanks for completing
I can see it, you and your son just duking it out, racing drones
right now.
I'm
already duking it out with him at home. I'm losing, too. I'm losing. We have multiple drones at home, and I'm not any good at it. So we're going to start our Q&A right now. I'm Alethea. I'm one of the organizers who Kat introduced. And just want to remind you all that this part of the program, this Q&A, is very important. We really do provide this platform for our business owners to answer a very wide variety of questions. So the more questions that you ask to help them to think about their businesses in different ways really does benefit them. So I encourage all of you to participate. So I'm going to come out on the floor. I see Yvette has a question, so we'll start with her.
I do. I'm thinking about back in the day. I'm thinking about back in the day when my son was like 6 to 10 years old, and all the kids had birthday parties. And
yeah, absolutely.
So, how would that work for inviting? Because nobody just has a birthday party for 10 people. It's invite the entire class when they're 7 years old. So that could be 30 kids. Would you be able to handle something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we really believe our niche is having large quantities of people. And we've already done stuff to prove that we can do that. Like, if anyone knows Maker Faire, I know there's one in Dallas. We did a Maker Faire twice now, and we processed about 300 people in the course of 2 days with just Marjorie and myself. We were dead after the weekend, but it was great. Yeah, and so absolutely doing stuff like that. And you know, there's this sort of thing where we don't know if 30 people can fly at once right now, just because of technical limitations. But what's really cool is drone racing is the only sport where you can truly follow along with the athletes, right? So like, you know, I'm gonna use the example of you. So like when your son's flying and he's racing our facility, you can put on goggles and see exactly what he's seeing. Versus, you know, if you're watching football, you're just watching it third-person view, you see? And so even if these 30 people aren't flying all at once, it's definitely possible that we can have them in there and all give them a turn, so.
Hey, Todd. Hold on to the mic, too, just in case you...
Hey, Todd, how's it going?
Good. I was wondering, what's your biggest obstacle to creating your first drone park?
Yeah, so it's just sort of these that's a great question. So it's just sort of these things we hit that are like, oh, crap, like there's not a basis for this to go off of. And like the best example I could think of is insurance, right? Car insurance, home insurance, life insurance, easy. right? The math is established. It's just a bunch of algorithms. Okay, bam. When we came to insurance agents and said, hey, we want to have 100 to 1,000 people in a facility at one time with 15 to 20 flying lawnmowers, they're like, oh, we don't know if we can cover that. And so we had to go out and we had to find somebody who specializes in high-risk insurance and to cover this. And so it's just sort of these moments where we're like, oh God, how do we do this? And there's nothing to go off of. And that's what's been the biggest obstacles for us. So over to Matt.
What's the blueprint for a size of a park? I mean, how big is a park?
Yeah, so right now we're looking at between 15 to 35,000 square feet worth of space.
And how high?
At least 12 feet in ceiling height.
Okay. Yeah. And secondly, on the drones, obviously those are not commercial bought drones, or are they that you put a camera on? How do you, these are drones that you're specially made for y'all?
Yeah, so these ones, so racing drones right now, you can buy some that are ready to go out of the box, just like you would at Best Buy. However, most of them are people buy the parts individually and just assemble them. So right now we're actually looking at drones that we can just buy and just ship straight from China, take them out of the box and fly them. However, we're also looking at developing a proprietary drone for our purposes as well.
And nobody can bring their own drone in?
No, so that's a portion of our market as well, is people who want to bring their own drone in. So.
I have one quick question as I move over here. If someone is bringing in their own drone, does that change your liability?
So I'm not sure on that. I don't think so. It's sort of the same thing of like, if someone brings golf clubs into Topgolf, does that change their liability? And that's a question I haven't asked our insurance guy, but I surely will. So great piece of feedback, yeah.
Have you had this patented and trademarked?
So we have one patent pending for several things within our facility, how we separate people from drones, some technological things, and some design things. And then we have 2 pending trademarks. One is for the logo, which we have registered, and then one is for the term drone park. So, and that's pending right now. So, great question.
What was the technology that you're using for the first-person view, and is that proprietary?
No, so it's not. So first-person view is actually a really old, incredibly archaic technology. It's more archaic than Wi-Fi, just to give you a perspective. So that's not proprietary. There's several manufacturers of it. It's just something we're really incorporating into our facility. So, yeah.
Hi, my name's Spencer, by the way.
Hey, Spencer.
I think it's
I like that blue. That's a cool blue.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. So I think it's a really great idea. There's definitely a market for it. Something that you didn't mention that I'm curious to get your thoughts on are esports. You mentioned racing. It's early on in the market, but there's probably a huge untapped market for professional drone racing. Have you considered some kind of rec league or maybe even a professional league to build that market and expand that?
Yeah, so esports is a huge reason why we wanted to come to Frisco. As some of you guys may heard, Bob McNair and some of his associates actually just made an investment into an esports arena here in the Metroplex area. I believe it's actually going to be on the north side, but I don't know that officially. That just sort of came from the rumor mill. So that was a huge thing. So there is a really large market for professional drone racers. Right now, there's actually a drone racing league called the Drone Racing League. There's several. It's on ESPN, just aired its 2nd season, and it's doing great. It's an exceptional group. They raised $32 million in venture capital. And so there is a market for professional drone racers. The thing right now is it's just incredibly scattered. So, I mean, it's like, it's just everywhere. And so if we built a center, it wouldn't be able to sustain itself exclusively on professional pilots yet. So, yeah, great question.
So is the pilot's experience strictly through the goggles, or can you just kind of have free play drone flying?
Yeah, so it can be either. However, it's a lot better through the goggles, I will tell you. So it's the difference between driving your car from the curb and actually sitting in your car and driving it. So, yeah.
Well, when you think about doing something like an esports experience, will this allow people an opportunity to have a league of drones so that they have like branded drones flying against other branded drones, like team drones?
Yeah, so that's really more a thing for the Drone Racing League and the people who are already trying to do the Drone Racing League model and event organization and that whole thing. We're merely the infrastructure, the hardware, if you will. And we want to make it be open source so that if people want to come and race, they can come and race. Or if people want to come and host a child's birthday party, they can come and host a child's birthday party. So,
Can we go back to your revenue slide?
yeah, absolutely.
Just because we went through that part really quickly, so I just want to see if anybody has any questions about it.
Yep.
Can you walk us through it real quick, like the mobile services piece, for
Yeah,
example?
yeah. So mainly we're centered around subscriptions. If you think about it just like in terms of a gym, we're going to charge you $60 to $80 a month, incentivize you with things like priority access, so you don't have to wait in lines, and discounted rentals, and then discounted purchases from our retail store. And then, so we have drone rental down here is going to be most of our revenue. People who are first timers or recreational users who want to come in and just fly for fun. Space rental, things for like 1 million cups. Hey, Wednesday morning, come in our facility. And then drone sales, so we are going to have a retail store. And then drone education. So that's a huge thing for us, not only from a revenue perspective, but also from a mission perspective as well. Is we want to make sure that the next generation knows that, hey, drones aren't this thing to spy on you. Drones are a really great tool for innovation. And for the next generation, they're going to be a huge, huge part of their lives. And then lastly, mobile services. So we do want to have something mobile where people can come or will come to you and teach you how to fly drones. And we're actually, that sort of logistically is a lot more developed because we've done it and we're doing it. Heck, we're doing it today, right? Than logistics of a park and more perfected than that. So, yeah.
Can multiple people wear the mask and see what is from the lens?
Yeah, absolutely. So the best way to think of it is it's the goggles are like the car radio of you can only have one center transmitting on that frequency, just like a radio station, but you can have unlimited cars tuned into it or unlimited goggles tuning into that. So, yeah.
And then also, there is a business-oriented market for drones with asset management, inspections, and a lot of innovation there as well. It seems to me like it would be good to cross over from a training perspective.
Yeah.
Because you could do job training for the people who want to work for those companies.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the problem that exists for recreational users right now, there's no place to go to fly, there's no place to go to be trained, is the same problem that exists for commercial users. It'd be like, the Cowboys not having a facility to train in, and that's their profession. Same thing happens with drone pilots. So, yeah.
Oh, I wanted to piggyback off of what you were saying, Paul. I know Yvette mentioned birthday parties, and you've mentioned a couple other things that you're doing, but for corporate team building, it's a huge area right now, and you didn't mention that. And I think that's something you should mention, especially around all these business owners.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the up and coming thing. Every company wants some kind of facility, and they want new places to go to and new things to do. And this would be a great team building facility.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's a market for us as well as team building. So.
And my other, it's not really a question but a comment. I love your presentation.
Thanks so much.
Your slides were great. I think that when you're talking about drones, everybody knows that they're flying, right? So I think maybe one of the things that I don't know how many presentations you're going to do after this. I'm sure you're going to go to investors and do presentations. It'd be amazing if a drone, I don't know how, you'd have to clear this with the facility first, but if a drone flew through, over everybody's head and came to you while you're wearing the mask, or your partner there is wearing the mask or the goggles, so that we get a feel for what this is all about. Like you're presenting it in such a way that nobody else can do that. Nobody else is giving a drone presentation. So it's about drones. You
Yeah.
know, so we want to see the drone. And you said, you know, you'll be able to do this after the presentation, but it's all about now.
Yeah.
And us experiencing that. Or maybe you call out somebody from the audience that's maybe done it, but they don't know that nobody knows
Yeah.
that they've done it
Yeah.
before. And they're, you know, they're seeing what you're seeing, and you see that on the screen or something. Anyway,
Yeah.
presentation, I think, is everything. And your drones are on the floor there. I think they should be elevated
Okay.
to a level that's eye level with the people who are seated here, so that we, you know, you don't have to pick it up but we actually see it, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Right?
No, absolutely. I think that's a great piece of feedback. And you know, this is our 5th 1 Million Cups. Every sort of ecosystem is a little bit different in the way they do theirs. And so, you know, normally we do a demo in the middle and we take 4 audience members up. You know, at this particular, you know, ecosystem, they were stricter on the 6-minute deadline, so we just didn't have the opportunity to do that. But I think a quick little, you know, fly in, fly out is a great idea still. So yeah, thank you so much for that feedback.
Afia, I will take responsibility for being the dream killer. He did say he wanted to do the demo, and that's Nick. We got 6 minutes here, so this is not going to work. So he was thinking along the same lines. I just wanted to own it. I believe in owning it, so it's my fault.
Hi. My question is, are there any certifications that you need to have in order to fly a drone, both privately and commercially?
So commercially, you do need a license. It's something called your Part 107 or Part 107. It's sort of like almost, you can think of it as like a miniature pilot's license. It's a lot of the same material with some more drone-related stuff in there. So you do need that to receive any sort of commercial dollars. Privately, you don't need anything.
And will you be offering these courses?
Absolutely.
We have one last question from the audience. We're going to wrap up and head over to Demont.
Hey,
Hey.
Are these drones or technology hackable?
So that's, I've never heard that question before. Great question. So yes, drones are very hackable. However, specifically with the drones we're looking at, there's no outside link to the outside world. And as well, they would actually have to hack the physical controller, which once again doesn't have a link to the outside world, and doesn't have an in from the outside world. So essentially there's no Wi-Fi on that, there's no USB port, there's no anything, it's just a controller. So that sense they're not hacked, but normal bigger drones, like DJIs, the one you see in Best Buy, are incredibly hackable, so yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, great question.
All right, Nick, last question is, what can we as a community do to support you and your business?
We have a slide for that.
Awesome.
Yeah, so why we're here. So feedback, which we've already gotten great feedback, you know. Resources, if you guys know anyone who has an old abandoned warehouse here in the Frisco area, come talk to us. We'd love to know them, or we'd love to know you guys. And then lastly, investors. Other thing we're looking for right now is we're on Kickstarter. Woo! So if you guys are into Kickstarter at all, we have some really great prizes. For $99, you can save yourself about $900 and become a member for 1 year. For $5 even, you will get your name inscribed in the side of our facility. So some really great, cool things, and we'll hand those out after I'm done here. So yeah, thank you guys so much. This was awesome. Great questions. I love that you guys piggybacked off each other. And yeah, I hope to meet you guys after and fly some drones. So cool. Thank you.